morning, everybody. Welcome to the Game Plan. My name is Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist here at Verified Investing, coming to you live from the Verified Investing Studios, where we're going to show you everything you need to know about the charts, the technicals, and everything covering crypto and commodities and stocks. And we've got a lot to talk about, guys. That flush on Friday in the semiconductor group was massive. Let's get right into the action. All right, right over here we go, guys. Let's start right away on the Verified Investing website. Now, we're not going to do the normal thing today. What I want to do instead is scroll down until we get to the earnings calendar, because this is earnings season. And again, everything you need as a trader is right over here. We click on earnings calendar, it pops it up nice and big, and we can see again all of the earnings, and it shows you pre-market, aftermarket on Monday, pre-market, aftermarket Tuesday, and so on and so forth. These are the top earnings. It's not every earnings, but it's the top companies reporting, the ones that are going to be market moving. So the big ones to highlight here for the week, guys, and we have also some economic data, but number one, Verizon reported this morning, relatively minimal price action. But for me, what am I watching? Tomorrow after the bell, Tesla. Tesla's going to be massive. Tesla's down again today. They cut prices across the board on many of their models, really in every country out there, or at least the main countries. And that stock, again, is down another 3+% this morning. But there's a technical level that I am lurking and eyeing and ready to pounce on if it gets down there today. And I'm going to show you that in just one second. Other key names today, we have Meta right here. That is going to be massive. So Meta, and we also have on Thursday. So Meta's Wednesday after the close, and on Thursday after the close, Microsoft and Alphabet/Google. So those are the big tech ones. You can see there's a ton of other companies. We got Boeing, we got GM, UPS, etc. across the board. You guys can go take a look at it when you have time. Okay, next up, what do we want to do? Let's do our spin real quick for our winner. Remember, again, the Winning Trader series came up for like the third Friday in a row, which is awesome. I want you guys winning these type of prizes. In fact, we have a new sponsor for the Wheel of Appreciation that's going to be donating something worth $2,000 if you were to sign up for this. I will unveil that tomorrow, and they will be on the wheel. So I can't wait to show you guys this new sponsor that, again, is giving a $2,000 prize to the Wheel of Appreciation for one of you lucky people out there. All right, let's go right now. Winning Trader Series winner. Remember, you're going to contact Lawton at verifiedinvesting.com. And right after this, we're going right into the charts and to see what the market has in store for us. All right. Carl Anderson, 1027. Congratulations, buddy. Carl Anderson, 1027. Reach out to Lawton at Verified Investing to get your Winning Trader Series action and login and everything you need to look and get into that course that I made. Okay. Right into the charts, guys. Again, no delay here. I want to get you guys the information that you're going to need for this week. Number one, this is the dollar chart. So we know that the dollar was in this wedge pattern. It broke out and it confirmed. Now let's zoom right into that. Let's see exactly what it's showing us. Okay, so first off, if we zoom in, we can see again, there was your classic breakout with confirmation, your retrace to the scene of the crime, and then up, and away. And then what we've really been forming here is what we would consider another kind of flag pattern, right? Another flag that would be considered bullish consolidation. Now again, interestingly enough, I kind of was just looking this over pre-market. If we look at where this kind of could go, we have to zoom out just a little bit just to reveal. And what we're going to come into is some major resistance around 107. So I can take a trend line, draw it right across. This is my short-term target on the US dollar before it slams into major resistance. So we have this pivot, we have this little high right here, and therefore, if this little flag pattern plays out, upside should bring us right to 107, maybe pierce 107. And again, that is going to be resistance. Now, today, the dollar is inching up, and we're going to cover gold and silver because gold and silver are dropping. And if you've been following the game plan, I literally told you guys that the charts were bearish now over the last week because of the topping tail reversal candle that we got. It's only about this. And again, I stress this to you guys. It's not my personal opinions. It's what are the charts telling me. One day I could be bullish, and then if the charts tell me I got to flip to bearish. It's what it's all about, and that's how I can achieve a winning percentage percentage on trades and trading signals. Okay, so let's go into this other thing. So what we want to do now is we want to flip over to the S&P 500. S&P 500 was amazing in terms of the drop last week, as well as the NASDAQ. Now, again, look at this chart. And again, this is something that I literally took you step by step in these game plans and gave you guys the breakdown. Remember when we had this breakdown and I said, guys, we have finally confirmed the breakdown. The uptrend has been broken. What ended up happening to the S&P 500? Look at that rollover right there. Interestingly enough, where did we come into on Friday? Right into this band of technical support, okay? So again, if we look at this area right in here, right, what do we have? We have this area right in here, and that's right where we went to. Now, for me, what does this tell me? Well, we're into some technical support. We've had now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down days in a row. That usually leads to a potential bounce, meaning probabilities tell us we're going to bounce. What are the S&P futures doing this morning? They are trading up on the day. Will they stay there? We don't know, but probabilities favor it for an up day today or a snapback bounce today. Okay, so again, just keep that in mind. Now, eventually, what do you think? Let's game this chart out. What do you think is likely going to happen? So we know the uptrend has been broken. We've now fallen into support. So the likely scenario here for me is for us to do something like this. Right? What type of pattern formation is that? It's a bearish pattern. And then again, my guess is we flush again, maybe in a week from now, maybe later this week on earnings or next week, depending on, we'll have to see how these earnings go from Microsoft, Alphabet, Tesla, and the rest of these groups. But in general, now that the uptrend's been broken, it's a sell the rip market versus a buy the dip market. Now, investors generally are conditioned to still buy the dip. Understandable. That's been working for a long, long time. But inflation now is starting to creep up. We know that, and that changes things for the Fed. The Fed can no longer print money, unlimited amounts of money, at least if they want to keep inflation under control. All right, so we know we're into support on the S&P today. Let's see if we get that technical bounce. Now let's jump over to the NASDAQ 100. NASDAQ 100, same thing. It did hit some technical support on Friday. So here was a high right through this gap fill right here, and we touched that at the lows on Friday. Now again, look at how this chart was perfectly telling us when the rollover happened, right? So you had the wedge pattern here, that broke right in this range. But when we were doing that, we started to go in a sideways pattern like this, right? And you had a new channel develop, and then once that channel broke, look at the floodgates open. This is the power of learning how to read charts. It really does give you an optimal insight into the probable outcome of the market in this case, or into charts. All right, so again, looking at that, we did hit some support. Let's see if we bounce today. The culprit of last week's selling was the mega caps. We again lost $200+ billion just from Nvidia on Friday. That was an incredible drop. Speaking of Nvidia, let's go to that chart right now. Now, the first thing I want to just tell you guys is I did talk about this as being the outcome, right? So how many times in this game plan did I say, remember Tesla? Remember how Tesla was in 2021 when it had no competition and it was trading at all-time highs all the way up here? And then what happened to Tesla? Competition came in. Everyone started to produce EVs. Margins collapsed. In fact, margins are still collapsing, thus Tesla having to lower its key prices, right? So the prices got lowered here, and again, that's margin compression because there's so much kind of competition out there at this point. In addition, you have all these other kind of the EV feeling right now as people are like, do I really want an EV or do I want a hybrid? That's really what people seem to be shifting to, is more the hybrid model. Either way, what I said in these game plans was that eventually Tesla is what Nvidia is going to be, meaning that competition will come and it will crush the margins for Nvidia. And again, what are we seeing? We're already seeing some of that starting to play out. Now Nvidia will have big bounces. There's no doubt about it. But these type of rollovers you have to be aware of. They will come. This is why I never chase charts like this. You wouldn't find me buying Bitcoin back at 74,000 before. You wouldn't find me back in 2021 buying at 69,000. I wait for the corrections which inevitably come, and then I look for support. So one of the big supports on Nvidia is this one right here. I don't know if it'll hit today, but we're looking at around the 740 level. There's a key level there. In addition, a secondary gap fill right down here around 675. Those are my two technical levels on Nvidia in the near term. Now, speaking of which, we have to touch on SMCI. So this is one that I highlighted to you guys Classic head and shoulders pattern. If you're new to these game plans, remember, head and shoulder patterns are bearish. They're bearish. Once they trigger the neckline and they get below that, you go into a general free fall. Well, we certainly saw the free fall. And by the way, if you remember, last week, there was a day where SMCI was up $90 on the day, basically 10%. It was because an analyst upgraded the company to a $1,500 price target. Literally, it bounced up to just over 1,000, and then since then, it's down 30% on that. Now, again, you know, an analyst, they could say, oh, it's my long-term price target. Well, that's kind of vague, right? But the point is be very careful with upgrades on stocks that are at or near all-time highs. Oftentimes, it can either create exit liquidity for institutions, or it's an analyst that is just FOMOing in, just like John Q. Public out there FOMOs into anything that's hot. It's a lesson that I learned the hard way in my early trading career. Don't FOMO in. Even though these guys, supposedly these analysts, are the best trained and they know everything, they honestly are humans and they have emotion behind them. Or the other side, which is the more dark side, which is the creation of exit liquidity. Don't be the exit liquidity for an institution. Either way, we do have some technical support here at about 690. That's a high-risk level, right? This stock moves incredible amounts up and down. I'm really looking for the conclusion of this head and shoulders here. If we really want to game this out, what you do is you take the high of the head, drop a plumb line down, you take that distance, and from the break point, you do this, and you're basically looking at around a $550 to $500 price target on SMCI. Now, that target might take months to play out. Like on earnings, this company, I think, reports either later this week or next week. It honestly could get a bounce back up. The problem is that as competition increases, eventually that price has to mitigate back down to a normalized level, just like Nvidia, just like AMD. And AMD has been absolutely crushed. I actually like AMD here, guys. I wasn't planning on doing this chart, but there is a ton of support on AMD here. Doesn't mean it's going to hold, of course. We understand that it's all probabilities, but look at this area right in here, right in this range right in here, and that's really where we went to here. The stock is down from $225 to $146 on Friday in a span of basically a month and a half. That's incredible. Like, think about how much percentage-wise, that's like 30+% drop or more in the stock price in basically a month and a half. Again, it is into technical support, at least in the near term, for a bounce. Let's see if it actually gets that bounce. We can revisit it tomorrow. All right. A couple other stocks. We got to obviously touch on Tesla, guys. Tesla actually starting to intrigue me. I love the bearish sentiment. I've said this in a few game plans over the last week as it's coming down here. Look at this trend line that I found, right? If we take the low from the COVID low in 2020 and we connect it right through here, this secondary low in 2022, 2023, this was when the bear market was ending in 2022. We actually get a level that's just below 140. Now, pre-market, Tesla's trading around 140 already, so it's very likely this will come down and pierce and maybe touch this level. Now, they report earnings tomorrow after the bell. Now, number one, as price has come down, expectations are slowly coming down with it. Now, there's no guarantees. We know that on earnings. It's a wild card. It's all going to depend on how Elon Musk is, right? If he comes out with guns blazing about robo-taxis and this and that, honestly, the stock probably catches a bid because of excitement. But again, it's going to be all down to what he says. On a technical basis, though, purely technicals, let's just talk purely technicals, this level around 138, 137 area, it is a major support. All right, based on that, if you didn't know earnings were coming up, you would, at least for me, I would be a buyer in this vicinity around basically below 140. But again, understanding that earnings are coming, it's a wild card, very, very high risk. We always have to understand that earnings are a wild card, especially with Elon Musk. Let's be fair. All right, guys. What we're going to do now quickly is we're going to spin the wheel of appreciation because I want to really give you guys more and more prizes. Every day we spin this, every day someone wins. So we're going to do that right now. And also I do want to say just a shout out to our sponsors up here. We have, again, NordVPN, we have TradingView, we have LuxAlgo, and LuxAlgo is one of our best sponsors out there, and I continue to thank them from the bottom of my heart. I do want to also say that they are working with me, and you guys have heard me talk about this, with signals that will be on LuxAlgo that I am creating and having them program in. Very, very cool stuff that will help you in trading. All right, let's go. There it is, guys. NordVPN, 1-year membership to NordVPN. That's pretty darn cool right there. Thank you, NordVPN, for donating a bunch of 1-year subscriptions for this Wheel of Appreciation, because honestly, guys, we do appreciate you. Everyone on here is in the same boat as us here at Verified Investing. That's why they're donating stuff, is because they do appreciate you and they understand you guys are here spending your time with Verified Investing. All right, we're going to take a 30-second break to thank Lux Algo, our main sponsor today, and then we're going to get right into Bitcoin and gold.
Have you considered enhancing your trading experience? We have an amazing tool for you. Lux Algo creates next-gen trading indicators to help the world understand the markets in a smarter way. They have the largest user profile on TradingView and are the only official Discord partner in the technical analysis space. Lux Algo Premium operates seamlessly with top platforms, such as TradingView and Discord, making it the perfect tool for every trader. Take your trading analysis to the next level with Lux Algo. Please visit the description below and sign up for Lux Algo today.
All right, guys, we are back. Let's take a look at that Bitcoin chart. Amazing how the levels continue to work via technical analysis. All right, so basically we have these two trend lines here that I had in prior, right? So again, if you've been watching, you know these lines were in even before we came down to these levels here. We saw that we had support here, and support here. We finally broke and we confirmed. We then hit our next level of support right at 60,000. And what's happened? We've now snapped back. Now remember, this bottom line is confirmed support. This is now confirmed resistance. Therefore, what ends up happening, it's almost like a back and forth. These two levels will just bounce back and forth until we break one way or the other. So what you'd generally expect is for us to go up here, hit this, and then potentially be rejected back down. Again, the big thing will be we're now stuck between these two lines. Which way do we ultimately break? But right now, as a technician, you say, okay, this is resistance, this is support. You buy support, you sell into resistance. Again, simple as that. If you did that right here, then you made a nice little chunk of change as we've gone up. But in general, if you're just a short-term investor, you're looking to sell at that level because there's no guarantees you get through a confirmed resistance line. Now, if you're a long-term investor, then generally, like me, you're probably long-term bullish on Bitcoin. I continue to be long-term bullish. But again, I'm also a trader, and that's primarily what I do, and thus showing you the current levels on the chart. Okay, so that's where we are right there on Bitcoin. Looking at Ethereum real quick, and every day we'll try to cover at least one other crypto this week besides Bitcoin. Take a look at the parallels. I'm a huge fan of parallels. There's something in our subconscious that has to make, from chaos, it has to make sense. It has to, some sort of order has to come from it. And that's what these parallels show us, right? So what we really had here was we had this line down here, which was a classic line, just hit once, twice, 3 times. We drag a parallel up, right? And what we could see is that parallel goes to this area and this area where we broke, and then we touched it here before we broke out. Now again, once you break out and confirm, what does the methodology that I teach tell you? It tells you that you should retrace to the scene of the crime, which again is right here, but now it's confirmed support. It was resistance. Once you break resistance, it becomes support on the way back down. What happens to Ethereum? After it goes to 4,000, it comes right back into that level, and it bounces off that level. Now, remember the other part of the methodology is that when you have a level, right, and you keep going up and hammering on it, all right, eventually, if you hammer on it enough, you break it to the downside. But it usually takes, I would say, 3+ hits of that line. That's generally what I teach in the methodology, is that it's multiple hits because it weakens it. Again, same thought process of ramming into that door over and over again. It's locked. It's a normal door into a house or whatever it is, and you're ramming it, and you're not going to break it down the first time. Most of us at least wouldn't. But after a couple times, 3, 4, 5 times, most of us can probably ram that door down. The same process here, hitting the door, hitting the door, hitting the door. There it finally gives way because it weakens. All right, so again, that methodology, that thought process is really powerful when you find trend lines that have multiple hits on them, because you can start anticipating. Like, you might be a buyer here on this trend line right here, right? But what if you go up like this and you keep going like this? Would you still buy the trend line over here? The answer is probably not, because the door has been weakened too much. Okay? All right, so that's where we are right now, guys. On that, let's go to gold. Gold seeing a very sizable pullback today, down $52 on the day. And again, this is where the techniques, and again, I just love being able to do these daily, because so many of these just end up proving themselves based on the chart. And by the way, it's not, the only difference is that I just know what to look for, right? Everything I know you guys can learn. There's nothing too fancy about this chart, right? It's just recognizing the extended up move, the volume on this candle right here, and that it fits the topping tail signal, right? So a topping tail, again, is a reversal signal. And even after we have the reversal signal, notice how we still went sideways on this chart, right? We still went like this. So a lot of bulls were still getting long that don't know what a topping tail is. A topping tail to me is a warning sign. It tells me price is likely in the short term going to come back in. What ends up happening? We finally get the dump. I think, honestly, we're headed lower. We will have some support right down here, right? I mean, there'll be around 2320. There'll be a decent amount of support. But if you're looking at where this likely, at least for me, if I had to game this out and talk about the perfect area that I would start to accumulate, there's two levels. So the first one is a retrace to this area. See this area right here? See how you had kind of like a up, pull back, and finally the breakout? That now becomes support right around 2200. And then really what we're talking about is if we go back, this would be the other level, right? This retrace to the scene of the crime, which is around 2080. We'll call it 2080. Okay, so this is 2200. Okay, those would be your two key levels. Now, again, which one does it bounce off of? Where do we start making new highs? Because I still am in the belief that with the monetary system in shambles the way it is, with printing, with likely the economy headed back down, which means the Fed will have to lower rates regardless of inflation, eventually gold's going to go higher. But for me, if I had to play it out, I'd want to buy a little here and a little right there and accumulate in that zone. Okay, now is there a chance it doesn't get there? Of course it is, but that's okay because there's always another trade around the corner. That's important to remember. Silver, same thing, guys. Silver's getting pummeled today. Take a look at this. On silver's chart, major downside action, almost 5% drop on silver. Did it have a topping tail? Yes. Not only did it have a topping tail, guys, but it hit a triple top. Excuse me. If we look here, the high from 2020, secondary high right here, and then what did we hit right here? The high as well, resistance. So we hit resistance. We then zoom into the chart and we look at, does it have a topping tail, right? And the answer was absolutely it did. Here's our topping tail candle. That's a reversal bearish signal. There's your sideways chop as you still get people that don't know what topping tails are buying in because of the FOMO. Don't go with FOMO. And then what happens? Eventually the FOMO runs out. Those buyers stop with the money, and then the price starts to drop. Where am I looking to buy? Again, for me personally, I can only speak for myself, 26 to 25.50 right in this zone. These are major technical supports. We're honestly only $1.35 away from my first area of a buy level on silver. That would be where I would start to accumulate it. All right, couple other charts here, guys. Take a look at another one that we called perfectly, or I did right here. This is your oil retrace to that 81, 82 area right here. Now, this is the kicker. So we anticipated a bounce off this level, and we got it when Israel struck back at Iran, right? But it was so quick, but it still gave us the bounce. And now the bigger concern is, do we break this trend line, and do we confirm? Because if we confirm below this, there's not much support down. I mean, honestly, I think if we confirm below this area in here, I honestly think we're heading back to $70 over the next 6 months, maybe even lower. Now, that's only $10, $11 lower, so it could even be lower. But as soon as you see a weakness in the jobs report, that's where oil really is in trouble here. Because, again, the U.S. is a major consumer, the globe, and we know China's already kind of a mess. And, again, you lose the U.S. economy, and oil's going much, much lower. And I ultimately do believe that it is headed a lot lower. Next up, let's enjoy this chart here. This is what I'm looking for. You guys know I've been long natural gas since over down here in this vicinity. Look at this pivot top right here. We have a pivot point, and look, we're trying to attack for the third time here, this 204, 205 level on nat gas. Good move. Can we break out? Again, we know that this is only the third hit technically, so third hits, there's probably about a 60-40 chance it breaks out. If you get rejected here and you come up again, then there's about a 70-30. It raises the odds. Remember, the hit method, the more you ram that door. So third hits are good, favoring a breakout, but not heavily. Still favors it. But then if we get rejected and we try again, then it's even more heavily favored. Either way, I'm still in the camp natural gas is going to break out here and make a move to the upside. All right, guys, wow. Lots to discuss on a Monday. You think it's slow, and then it's really not. You get the ball over here. All right, anyways, Question for today. I don't want to forget to ask this because otherwise you guys have to look into a different video later today. Tell me about something, again, and I love doing these on Monday. It's Monday, being thankful for the weekend. Tell me something that you were thankful for that you did over the weekend in the comments. I want to view it. I want to see it. I love reading these comments, guys. It makes my day, and it also allows you guys to enter into our Wheel of Appreciation. 1 year of NordVPN will be given away. So let me know, guys, and I look forward to reading your responses. As always, thank you so much for coming here to Verified Investing, checking out everything we offer at Verified Investing. That homepage is filled with free information that is actionable, that is helpful. That's our goal, to keep making that the best it can be. You guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you as always. Take care.